These artists, they're sacrificing their family members for fame and money.
If you think that this is fine, that Christians are being too, petty about this stuff, like I don't understand that viewpoint.
Okay, Jacob.
Yo,
So, do you remember when this whole controversy kind of started? It was back in November. It was actually on November 30th. Lil Nas X, he posted a tweet and it said, "Y'all mind if I enter my Christian era?" And it was like him wearing some shirt about God or something.
it's so stupid.
So,
It's so dumb.
so that brings up the question, like, he clearly was like hinting at all this stuff way before he released his music video. It's so confusing. Why do you think he did that?
I don't know if it's more like him trying to appeal to a certain audience, or if he's just like doing it for attention or drama, or the actual opinion that he's like a Satanist and he's the Antichrist. Like everybody's all over the board with it. I personally have no idea. I'm not as familiar with Lil Nas X to be able to give you that answer. So it's just all weird and confusing, and I'm laughing at it not because it's funny, but because it's just dumb, like at all the stuff he's doing. So
Yeah. Okay. So, like, for context, Lil Nas X just recently released his music video and song called J Christ, and the music video the entire thing is representative of stories in the Bible, and Lil Nas X is kind of claiming to be Jesus in these stories, and he's writing himself into the stories as the Christ, and he's crucifying himself on the cross, and he even had a battle with the devil, who happened to be wearing his
shoes,
his Satan shoes.
Yeah.
But it didn't start with the music video. Lil Nas X, the last couple weeks before he released the actual music video, he was posting a bunch of crazy things on TikTok, actually. I remember seeing this. I was just scrolling on TikTok. I had just started using it again, and I see this video, and it has 50 million views right now, but it's Lil Nas X with some happy song, and it says, "Me returning to God after the industry tried to make me satanic." And I saw that, and I was like, wait, I thought him being a Christian was a joke, but then he was actually posting stuff about it. So it made me want to dive like a little bit deeper into it, and it gave me a little bit of hope.
Yeah.
But then he released his first, I guess, foreshadow of the actual music video, and it was him on the cross, and I was like, oh no.
Yeah. Here we go again.
Yeah.
Well, it was crazy because before the song even released, like we saw the poster in Atlanta that said like Lil Nas X, like it. What does it say? Lil Nas X, your time's not up, or like you still have a chance?
So we were in Atlanta at Passion, and apparently Lil Nas X lives in Atlanta. I didn't know that.
Cool.
But yeah, we were just walking around Atlanta, and we see this billboard in the city, and it says Lil Nas X. It was something like, it said "Save Lil Nas X. It's
Okay.
not too late."
Okay, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So apparently some church in Atlanta is advertising to try and help Lil Nas X find Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, like, Lil Nas X clearly already knows Jesus is real. I mean, he very, very clearly does, if he's making all of these blasphemous things, like,
Yeah.
and he's clearly like trying to show that he isn't for Jesus, it's just interesting because I remember when he released Old Town Road, and we were in like 7th grade,
Yeah.
and
Wow.
it was like, yeah, that's crazy, isn't
That
it?
dates us like crazy.
I know. But yeah, we were in 7th grade. He releases Old Town Road, and it becomes like the number one song in the country.
Yeah.
But it's mostly like kids our age listening to it and like making TikTok dances to it and stuff. And then just a couple years later, he comes out as gay, and he just completely like, it's like he transforms the minds of his fans. It's insane because he's there. I've seen multiple videos online of him, like even nowadays, like still with a lot of kids, like a lot of kid fans, like are hugging him and stuff like that. It's so interesting how Satan is attacking the children.
Yeah.
More than anything else.
Yeah. We've talked about that on podcasts before. Like, that's what he goes for. Like, I just think it's fascinating that he got such a big following with that, like, great song. Like, I knew every word of that song, like, in 7th grade. You know, like, I didn't even, like, listen to that stuff, you know, and then ever since then, it just seems like he's done that and then, you know, got this whole following, and now he's corrupting everybody that follows him. Like the people in that music video, a lot of the comments that we read through were like Lil Nas is God. Like, he's God coming back. Like what? Like, this is literally an artist, and a lot of people are claiming that he's something that he's not, just because he's portraying himself on the cross like Jesus and crossing up the devil. Like, if you haven't watched the music video, I know some people are a little bit sensitive to that and they don't want to, you know, corrupt themselves with that. But honestly, I think it's something that we should all look at and watch and, you know, like, understand, okay, like, this is what, you know, the world's doing. But I think it's crazy that he's been through this whole process and now he's doing something like this.
Yeah, and the crazy thing about the music video is, like, scrolling through the comments, you see people that claim to be Christians, they say, like, this is art. Like, they don't see anything wrong with the video. And, like, how does that make you feel about this generation of Christians? Like, I feel like people are just so, what's the word? Like, unaware of how evil things in the world actually are.
Yeah, like, think back, like, to the 80s. Like, probably like 95% of people would have told you that homosexuality was wrong. Like, 95%. And now look at it, like, if we were to say that, we're in the minority, right? The minority of people believe that homosexuality is wrong and that, you know, there shouldn't be homosexual marriage. So it's just weird to see the shift in culture and how people who, like you said, claim to be Christians adapt to that so easily. Because to me, that's like, when I'm watching that, I like want to take my eyes away. Like, I want to pause the video and just shut it off completely, because I'm like, this is blasphemous. But to a lot of people, like you said, who claim to be Christians, they're like, why is my Christian family and my Christian body so offended by this? Like, chill out. You know, it's not that big a deal. When if you really look at it, it's really bad what he's doing. It really is.
Yeah, I guess a lot of that probably comes from, like, the watering down of the Bible to begin with. Like, for example, there's plenty of gay churches and gay pastors now where, like, if you're taking something that in Scripture is clearly wrong and you're saying it's okay and you're watering down the gospel like that, then I feel like they can't see the true beauty in the actual, like, truth and the story of the Bible. They don't see the beauty of that. Therefore, when they see something like Lil Nas X doing that, they don't see how it's evil and how it's going against the true story of the Bible. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree. And I think to a level, like, it is artwork to a certain degree. It is artwork. It's kind of like a portrayal of, like, his life. I think I saw a video that was talking about it. It was saying, like, when he's, like, crucifying himself on the cross, he's not doing it to portray Christ. He's like laying down his old life in a way, or his old personality or something. And, like, he's accepting a new personality. I don't even know. It's all so complicated, but I think to a point it is artwork, but also, you know, artwork can be blasphemous. And just because maybe the point of it is to be artwork, it is to draw in this, you know, different kind of audience. I don't think that is right at all. I think we should, like you said, you know, like, get away from that and all that stuff.
But
it's awful.
I just one thing that I keep thinking about is, like, why did he do this in the first place? Like, let's
Yeah.
take the unbeliever. The unbeliever sees this video being posted. Like, I feel like they would have to think to themselves, like, if God isn't real, then why is this happening? Like, and
Yeah.
why is it always Christianity that's getting made fun of?
Yeah.
So I just
Yeah.
it's so difficult to understand why he made this to begin with if it wasn't to be blasphemous. You know, like, why did he take this approach? Why didn't he just release a song? Like, I most of that song wasn't even about Jesus, like, at all.
No.
Wasn't. There was just like one verse, like, um, I'm out of the grave, like J Christ or something like that.
He said like B word, I'm back like J Christ. Like,
Yeah.
so he just mentioned his name, you
Yeah.
know? So I
So,
just,
like, you could say that he used this whole Christianity thing as a marketing tactic, which, I mean, I guess he did in a way,
definitely.
but that 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 can't be like the only reason.
Yeah.
And it just makes me wonder, like, what kind of deal does he have with the devil? Like, why?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was our instant reaction. When we were watching it, we were like, okay, Jesus is coming back or Lil Nas is about to get struck down. Like, this is not okay. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if he's dead in the morning. Because not only that, but he was also that video of him taking the Lord's Supper in the wrong way. I mean, the Bible talks about how if you do that in an unworthy manner, like, people have fallen asleep because of that. So, like, these things that he's doing are going completely against Scripture. And our first thought was, is this guy the Antichrist? Is he like it portrays in Scripture where he has a bunch of following and is a gathering, and then all of a sudden he turns evil and then he brings people against God? You know, like, that's kind of what the Antichrist does. But also, you know, we were to go, this is off topic, but we went back to like history and we were thinking about like Mussolini and Bin Laden and Hitler. Like, none of those guys were the Antichrist, right? Because they died, right? So like, if Lil Nas X is not the Antichrist, like, imagine how bad it's actually going to be, you know? But like, the stuff that he's done so far, it checks out. Like, it checks out for him to be something like that. I think there's definitely, like you said, a spiritual level to this that is not just like a marketing strategy. Like, he's got to, like you said, either have a deal with somebody or he's obviously fallen astray and he's, you know, against God in every way.
Yeah.
Because you don't see anyone doing this to like, you know, like, what was it, Muhammad or like Buddha. You don't see anyone posting, this popular at least, posting a video that goes directly against them, right? That's not a thing. It's Jesus, you know, like, everybody hates Jesus for, you know, whatever reason.
One thing that I find interesting is how the music industry is kind of just so evil as a whole. Like, it's not just a couple of artists that are really bad or do kind of really demonic things in their music. It's like a majority almost. Like, it is insane, like, how many rappers, like Lil Uzi Vert and don't even get me started, Trippie Redd, like, it is just completely overtaken by people that worship the devil. And it just kind of makes me wonder, like, why the music industry? What is your take on that?
I feel like we like talked about this before, like one Sunday or something, like that in the beginning when Satan was a demon or Satan was an angel, wasn't he like the father of music or something? Like, that was like his job.
That's I looked it up before we started recording. It's very complex, but yes, there's a big belief that Satan was kind of like a leader of like a choir or something like that in heaven.
Wow. I mean, that seems like an answer right there. But also think about it this way. Like, this is one reason I'm so passionate about media, is because that's the best way to reach people right now, is through the media. If you can do something that people like and you can do something that people can catch on, then you can have an influence and a voice on anyone, right? Like, right now, like this podcast that we're doing, like, we're reaching people that we don't even know, right? Just by recording a video and talking about it. It's like, what better way for Satan to attack people than what goes in their head all the time, right? Because that's where Satan attacks you, is in the mind, right? In the head. He tries to put evil thoughts in your mind, put evil things in your mind that get you down. And, you know, it's gotten us down in so many ways in our past, right? And it works, you know, it works. And that's scary to think about, not being a Christian not understanding spiritual things, and even Christians who don't understand spiritual things, and their heads being filled with this nonsense and the stuff that directly goes against Scripture, but it looks so close to what Scripture preaches, and it's just confusing so many people. And there's no better place for Satan to work than through the media. Like whenever you're in the car, what are you doing? You're listening to music,
Yeah.
right? I mean, what are you doing when you're at home, like in the shower, like when you're about to go to bed? You're listening to music. So that's just what he does, you know.
Yeah.
It's so sad.
Back when I used to like consistently listen to secular music, I just remember it was mostly rap that I listened to. I just remember most of it being, it was either about like fame and money, or it was about like girls and drinking. And
Yeah.
what do all four of those things have in common?
They're sinful.
Exactly. And I
Yeah.
think that when I was listening to those things, that's kind of when I have experienced my biggest spiritual struggles, you know? And I think it really does have a big effect on you. If you're allowing all these evil things into your brain, that means you're allowing your mind to think about these things. And that's why those thoughts will come up later in the day. It's because you're allowing it into your mind. Like while you're working out, that's when I would listen to secular music, was while I worked out. So,
And that obviously, like, it changed your mood big
yeah,
time.
it
Like
did.
a lot of those old struggles that you had came back because of that music.
Yeah.
And you know, like obviously, like sometimes it gives you a good, like, I don't know, like a good pump to like do good in your set, like stuff like that. But also, like, even something as simple as that, it affected you, and it was apparent. It was really sad to see how like something that small, even just going into your head, affected your day.
It's kind of interesting. It's like when I would even sometimes now I'll like turn on a secular song to help me with my set. It's kind of like when we were at Passion. Do you remember? I think it was Earl talked about don't make a deal with the devil.
Yeah.
And that's kind of exactly what that is. Is you're saying, okay, devil, I'll listen to this music. Just help me do good on this set. You know, that's oh wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
And another thing that I find really scary about the music industry, this is kind of like a little bit less known, but it's starting to become something that is a little bit more mainstream, like knowledge, is that some of the top people in the music industry, they like made sacrifices to get there. Like what's that called? Baal.
Yeah.
Is Baal the that god? It was like a statue, right? And they would sacrifice babies.
Yep. They'd put the babies on the hands and they would heat Baal up, and then the babies would burn.
What did they get out of that?
It was the fertility god. So
Interesting.
talking about like crops and
Yeah.
stuff and all that growing
Okay.
faster. And yeah.
Wow. So yeah, it's kind of like the same thing is happening today. It's just a lot more private. So these artists, they are sacrificing their family members. They're sacrificing their family members for fame and money. I can't remember his name, but I saw recently this video of some rapper, and it was like something he posted on his Instagram story. And it was as he was signing a contract, I think with Barstool Sports. It was a $50 million contract. And they were playing in the background this song about making a sacrifice. And it was like, we're going to be set for life. And he was crying the whole time while he was signing this contract. And then it was like a couple days, I think, or a week after, his son dies. And of course, they're not going to come out and say, he's not going to come out and say that he sacrificed his son. And that's how all of these conspiracies go, is, you know, they're not going to come out and say it because, you know, the devil doesn't want to expose himself just like that, because, you know, then he's not going to be hiding.
Did it say how he died?
I honestly don't know.
Because that's interesting to know. Like, was it just mysterious?
I
Like
would
he
have
just
to
passed
I would have to
away,
figure
or-
it out, because I don't know the artist's name.
Okay.
I don't think he's big enough yet for me to know his name, but I'm sure I'll see it somewhere
Which that by
eventually.
itself is sad.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
there's just so much in the music industry that like the devil has a foothold on.
Mhm.
And one thing that's also interesting is that I think it's even infiltrated the Christian music industry.
In what
Maybe
way?
maybe not so much like sacrifices, like sacrificing people, but I think that there are certain Christian artists that don't really practice what they preach in a way. Like they're kind of putting on a show for fame or money.
Yeah.
And it's just because they know that Christian music, like if they're a good artist or rapper or whatever, like they know that it's kind of an untapped industry. And if they do it the right way, then they can make a living out of it.
Yeah.
And I think you know who I'm referring to. You know a little bit more about it than me if you want to take over.
Yeah. I had a connection a while back, and it was a guy who was pretty familiar with artists and, did some work with them and things like that. And he was telling somebody, and he was like, don't tell me who your favorite Christian artist is. And they're like, why? And he was like, well, because they're probably not the person you think they are. So like, just to know that is really sad, because behind the scenes, there may be some Christian artists that aren't the best people. And it's like you said, it's really sad that it is a growing industry. It really is. And people might be using that for the wrong reasons. And they may not even understand their own lyrics to a heart level, And that's really sad to know that like the words that we're hearing on like K-Love and through Spotify and things like that are encouraging us to get up every day and go live for Christ may be coming from people who aren't doing that themselves. And that, like, it's like going to, a sermon, going to church, and like hearing later that pastor actually wasn't a good person. It's like you question everything you heard from that pastor over the years, because it's like, how can I trust information that's being put out to me that wasn't from a true source? And that's what's really scary about all of it, is because, a lot of Christian artists are really good and they're really popular.
Wasn't there someone that had like a weird shirt?
Lecrae.
What was the shirt? I was trying to figure it out.
I don't remember. It was a reference to another popular singer.
Was it Doja Cat?
It may have been Doja Cat, and I don't remember, but he basically did it. And a bunch of other rappers like Caleb Gordon called him out and were like, hey, this is not cool. Like, you were obviously trying to steal from the world to make yourself more popular in the world. When Lecrae had said many times in interviews that wasn't what he was doing. But it was obvious, if you're going to put out a shirt like that that's what he was doing.
We'll have to figure out what that shirt is and put it in the
I'm going to look
podcast.
it up.
We'll figure it out real quick.
Okay, so I just found it. The shirt says, I can quote Cardi and Corinthians. And it was a part of the line where it was basically called like Righteous and Ratchet.
That's what the clothing line is called?
Yeah, like that. Like, I guess that certain issue that he put out, like that was the name of it. So like he's trying to claim righteousness and being like, what does that word even mean? Like, I just hear it and I know it's a negative connotation.
Yeah,
I just
don't even worry about it.
Okay, yes. Like, I don't even want to worry about that stuff. But like, it's just really sad to see that like this guy that was so popular is like putting out that stuff. He ended up discontinuing the merchandise. So he either realized that it was a problem or he didn't want his image to be altered because of it. But I think that's so stupid. So
that is so stupid. Okay, what would
Cardi
you do?
B's terrible.
What would you do if you saw someone wearing that?
To be honest, I could see a lot of people in the church wearing something like that if they didn't think they'd get judged for it, because like they feel like they can, like we talked about, just the unawareness of our generation.
Yeah, you're
it's
right.
just, it's awful. It's really sad. But I'd probably think, what are you doing? You don't really realize what you're wearing.
Yeah.
Because it's not that you're wearing Lecrae merch. It's the fact that you're endorsing this certain ideology. Like that's just awful within itself. So
Yeah.
Lecrae, man.
Speaking of merch, this is one of my favorite pieces of merch I've ever bought. From it's this it's called Superstart. It's like what's the best way to describe Superstart?
It's like a weekend event, like a Disciple Now event for 4th and 5th graders.
Okay, yeah, that's what it is. It's like a kind of like, it was supposed to be like a VBS. Was that what a VBS is like?
I mean, in a way. It's,
Okay.
I mean, Catalyst is what we do back in Memphis, and Surge is what they do here in Orlando. But most people do know what Disciple Now is, and it's just a weekend where you can, where leaders just have a chance to interact with the kids and teach them about the gospel, and they like see a play or production. So.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This is honestly like one of my favorite things that I own. We need to make some merch for the podcast.
Maybe we should. Maybe we will. But final question, I wanted to ask you this. So I don't really want to turn this into like a convictions conversation or anything, but like, how do you think Christians should feel about the music industry? And especially like, let's go specifically Lil Nas X. Like, how do you think Christians should approach this one topic? Do you think we should all be on the same level? Or we should all hate it to a certain degree? Or do you think some people can be fine listening to stuff like this?
I mean, like listening to the song or watching the music video?
I mean,
because the song and the music video are very different.
Yeah, like both.
Because the song honestly is not nearly as bad as the music video.
Yeah.
Like one of our friends said on FaceTime that he could see this song being like a TikTok trend. And I can too, just because it's catchy. So, I mean, I'm not going to tell you that you can't listen to the song just because I don't like it. But I can't see how you can watch the music video and not see something wrong with it.
I disagree with you about the song. I think it's awful. I think it's terrible. Like you're incorporating a terrible thought process and a terrible thing with Jesus Christ. Like why, in my opinion, why would Christians even entertain anything like that? That's my opinion on it. I know I have more of a, I guess I have a different opinion on music in general. Like I don't listen to secular music at all. Like I just don't really mess with it. But something like this, I don't see why Christians wouldn't be united on this. I really don't. And if you think that, this is fine, that Christians are being too, petty about this stuff, like I don't understand that viewpoint personally.
I mean, that's not what I'm saying at all, though. I'm just saying that the song itself isn't what's extremely blasphemous. It's the music video. The song has like one reference of Jesus, like we mentioned earlier. Mm-hmm. And like if we're gonna say that, then we shouldn't watch The Office because it has episodes that's valid. Make fun of Jesus. So
that's valid.
That's my take on it, at least. But
yeah,
I will say that the music video in itself is made to be blasphemous. The song is made to make money. The music video is made to be blasphemous. So, but yeah, that's just my take on it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I just think the purpose behind it is just evil, and I hate it personally. Like I was like watching the music video and listening to the song, and I was just like what am I doing, right? Like this is just terrible how pop culture is just making fun of Christ like this in music and in video. It's really sad.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, for everyone out there listening, we just want you all to like be aware of what's going on in the world. We're not telling you have to agree with everything that we agree on, but I do feel like it's our job to expose evil. Like as Christians, it's our job to shine light on the darkness. So that's what the goal of this episode was for. So, but we thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we will see you back next week.
Yes, sir. Peace.